How's it going, everyone? It is Andre Williams, and over here we talk stocks and we focus on one thing. Always protect your profits. And today we're going to be talking about Palantir, which was up 7.7% on the Friday. Many people have been saying, Dre, we need to get an update. I told you guys that it had a gap that needed to be filled to the upside. It's already filled in that gap. And on top of that, it is now seeing a lot more momentum. So with the market moving up, many people are telling me, hey, Dre, what do you see happening? So I'm going to update you. I won't waste any more time. Let's jump into the agenda. If you're new to this channel, I just want to let you know we have timestamps down below inside the description. But if you're a shareholder, you're thinking about taking a position, I highly suggest you watch this full entire video. So the first thing we're going to go over is the technical analysis. We're going to be taking a look at the overall price action. We want to know support. We want to know resistance. We want to know what it looks like in the bearish case scenario and as well as in the bullish case scenario. And then we're going to go on Fintel, taking a look at the short interest information. The reason why this is important because it does have an impact on the way the stock performs. And then we're going to be taking a look at the order flow distribution. We want to know the buying and the selling behavior on the retail side and as well as on the institutional side. And then when all of that is done, we'll be going into the final thoughts and as well as some more details. So let's get to it. So we're going to do a technical analysis for Palantir. Let's see how it performed on Friday. So it ended up closing at $10.19, being up 7.72%. On the low, it tested $9.48, and then on the high, testing $10.20. When we take a look at the volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 67.826 million shares, and the average volume over 10 trading days is at 42.717 million shares. So we had above average volume on the day, and it's part of the reasons why we saw some strength in the stock. Now, when you take a look at our chart, which is a daily chart, you can see from the RSI down below, it's at 62.07. And then when we take a look at our moving averages here on the chart, we are below the 200-day, but we are above the 21-day EMA and as well as the 50-day. And since Palantir is trading below the 200-day moving average, it is in a bear market. But if you guys remember from where we left off, remember it was at a low of $6.45 and it had a gap that needed to be filled right here around $9.40. It is officially broken out of this channel, and as you can see, it's at $10.20 for the high on Friday. So the next level you want to keep an eye on is going to be around $11.26. If Palantir can break above $11.26, that's where you want to see if it can make that move going to $12. This is very achievable for this play for the coming week, especially if the market continues to be on an uptrend. This is very important. Now, if we decide to have a pullback, what would be healthy? So where I'd want to see us having some strength is finding support above the 50-day moving average, which is at $9.39. We tested a low of $9.48. So if we are able to go into Monday forming a higher low, so let's say anywhere above 9.48, then it's definitely going to look good. Most preferably, if we can find support right at $10 on the dot, that's why I'm saying 11.26 is not far off for this play whatsoever. So keep a close eye on it. Now let's move on to the short interest information. So we're going to take a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information for Palantir. So green rows indicate new positions while red rows indicate closed positions. So we're going to take a look at some recent filings. So we have some closed position we have here from ARK, and we also see another one from ARK. So the ARK Innovation ETF and as well as the ARK Next Generation Internet ETF. And as far as an institution loading up, we have Fidelity Zero Large Cap Index Fund that purchased 234,934 shares. Now, when we take a look at the short interest, the off-exchange short volume ratio is at 48.84%, and then for the off-exchange short volume, it is just over 15.51 million shares. Scrolling down on the page, the short shares availability is at 10 million, updated 1 minute ago, and then for the short borrow-free rate, it is at 0.25%. When we take a look at the history of the short volume, we can see for the close of the 23rd, it is at 41.05. And then for the close of the 24th, being at 48.84. So that is a significant increase right there. And then when we take a look at the short interest percentage of the float, flow being at 6.14%. Unfortunately, Palantir doesn't have short squeeze potential. Now let's move on to the order flow distribution. Now let's take a look at the order flow distribution for Palantir. So on the inflow, it's at 77.45 million, and then on the outflow, it's at 98.38 million. So we actually had an outflow day. Taking a look at the breakdown, on the large, it was 9.72 million. On the medium, it was 45.02 million, and then on the small, it was 22.71 million. Taking a look at the outflow side, you can see on the large, it was 9.48 million. On the medium, it was 66.18 million, and then on the small, it was 22.72 million. Taking a look at the large scale orders in the last 5 days, you can see for June the 24th, which is a Friday that passed, we had that inflow of 0.24 million. Analyzing the numbers even further for the small scale orders that tends to represent the retail side, you could see that we had more selling than we had buying, but it was still very, very close. And then when we take a look at what happened on the medium, we had more selling than we had buying. And then for the large, which represents whales, institutions, and funds, we had more buying than we had selling. And then when we take a look at the turnover ratio, it was at 3.32%. So this is not bad for a stock like Palantir. It does see a good amount of trading volume on a daily basis, so you want to take that in consideration as well. But one thing that is clear, especially when we took a look at the charts, it is definitely looking bullish. We'll talk about it further in the final thoughts, so let's get into it right now. So for my final thoughts for Palantir, when it comes to the price action, we ended up seeing a high of the day at $10.20. But the key area that you want to keep an eye on is at $11.26. And why is that? If we can get past that resistance, then Palantir can make a strong move going to $12. Could it happen this week? You know what? I can see it, especially if the market continues to be on an uptrend. We know that Palantir does trade in the tech sector. So if it moves up, then we want to see Palantir move alongside with it. We also have to understand it has broken out of its channel. I talked about this inside of the technicals. And now that it's broken out of the channel, it's filled in that gap, things are looking really solid. If it decides to have a pullback now, we want to see support holding up at least at around $9.40. If $9.40 can continue to hold, that is where I can see bulls coming in, buying up the stock and push it up further. If it decides to break through $9, that's where, you know what, things are going to start looking a little bit shaky, and then we can have that pullback going all the way back down to $7. So that is one thing you want to be aware of. But for the most part, it does look like it's going to be bullish for the coming week. Also, when we went on Fintel, taking a look at the short interest information, Palantir doesn't have short squeeze potential. I've talked about this in my previous videos as well. There are a lot of shares outstanding, but the good thing about it is, as far as the chart, it is looking strong in the technical sense, and it's one of those stocks you want to watch, especially if the market continues to trend up. And this also makes me get to the next point. Please be cautiously optimistic. We are still in a bear market. This stock can pull back real quick, just like many others. So I want to make sure you're prepared. So if you are a trader, making sure that you move up your stops is very essential. You want to make sure you're protecting your profits, and on top of that, protecting your investment. The worst thing that could happen is when you have a green trade and then you let it turn red on you because you are being greedy. Again, move up those stops. I can't say that more than enough. And for my investors out there, we are in a high inflationary environment. There's still a lot of fear. There's still a lot of uncertainty. So if you are going to be taking a position and you've been watching Palantir for quite some time, I want you to ask yourself this question. Why didn't you buy the stock when it was trading at a cheaper price? Why didn't you buy it in the $8 range or even in the $7 range, even when it pulled back to the $6 range? The reason why I want you to reflect on this, because what this means, if you decide to buy this stock at the current price and the market decides to go back and make another low, how are you going to feel about that? Are you going to feel happy because now the stock is cheaper? Or are you going to feel frustrated since you're down on the position? Again, ask yourself these questions. Run your mind through the entire process. I can't emphasize this more than enough. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I can't wait to see how the stock performs going into tomorrow. We'll talk soon.